On Israel, President Trump, you're very to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu.
Coming in tomorrow.
Yes, you've mentioned in the past you're concerned about Israel being too small geographically. Would you support annexation of parts of the West Bank by Israel?
Well, I'm not going to talk about that. It certainly is a small, it's a small country in terms of land. See this pen, this wonderful pen? My desk is the Middle East. And this pen, the top of the pen, that's Israel. That's not good, right? You know, it's a pretty big difference. I use that as an analogy. It's pretty accurate, actually. It's a pretty small piece of land. And it's amazing that they've been able to do what they've been able to do when you think about it. There's a lot of good, smart brain power, but it is a very small piece of land, no question about it.
On the Middle East, Mr. President, if I may, do you still have doubts that the ceasefire will hold?
On what?
On the Middle East, do you think the ceasefire will hold?
I have no assurances that it'll hold. I mean, I've seen people brutalized. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. No, I have no guarantees that the peace is going to hold. Steve, you might want to say something about that. Steve Woodcock.
It's holding so far. So and we're certainly hopeful. And that's the President's direction. Get the hostages out, save lives, and come to hopefully a peaceful settlement of it all. So far it's holding.
Mr. President, you said you also want to impose tariffs on the EU. What kind of tariffs are you thinking about?
Well, we have massive deficits with the European Union, massive, like $350 billion, if you can believe it. They don't take our farm product. They don't take our cars. They don't take almost anything, but we take their cars. We have millions of cars coming in, BMW and Mercedes-Benz and Volkswagen and just so many different cars, and we don't do anything about that. And we don't charge them tariffs. They make it impossible to sell cars in the European Union. They make it very difficult, agricultural product. They actually don't take it. And they have a lot of excuses. Some of them are the pesticides and the different chemicals used. And Bobby Kennedy actually is looking at that very, very seriously, because maybe it's not necessary to use all of that. You know, we want to be the healthiest country, and we're not. We spend more money on food than anybody else in terms of its creation, but we're not the healthiest country. So maybe there is something to the fact that we shouldn't be using so much chemical, and maybe that'll stop. But Bobby Kennedy is the one, because he is not a believer in all of the things we have done, and neither are the Europeans. So we'll see what happens. But they use it as an excuse not to buy our product. And I asked a couple of the leaders, I don't want to use names, but how many Chevrolets or Fords do you see in the middle of Munich? And the answer is none, because they don't take any cars. They don't take anything. So the European has abused the United States for years, and they can't do that. And they want to make a deal. Let me tell you, in all cases, they all want to make deals. There's nobody that doesn't want to make deals. They've been abusers, and they want to make deals. So we'll see about that. But we'll have, I think, some very fair. All we want is a fair deal. And, you know, there's a word, reciprocal. I'd go right now, reciprocal tariffs on everybody, because many of the countries that you feel so horrible about, the way they're being treated by Trump, you're saying, oh, President Trump is so terrible to them. Well, they charge us tariffs. European Union has a VAT tax, which is through the roof, okay? It's a similar thing, similar to a tariff. It's a VAT. And they have it, and it's numbers like you wouldn't believe. And Canada, I told you about the banks, and I told you they charge us. And people don't say that. They don't like to say it. Just like they don't like to say that I opened up the water for California. It's a great thing. It's too bad they didn't do it themselves. I had to do it, and it was not easy. We did it a very rough way, and I didn't like to do it a rough way. We shouldn't have to do it a rough way. But a lot of these countries that we're talking about, you know, they're so-called allies, but they don't treat us well. And just like I got $420 billion, and now it's actually over $600 billion, the Secretary General of NATO came in 2 weeks ago, and he said it was a miracle when Trump came in, when President Trump came into NATO. He said it was $636 billion by saying to them, no, you have to pay, and if you don't pay, we're not going to be there for you. You know, somebody has to say it, and they paid. And it was a large amount of money. And one of the problems we have with the Russia-Ukraine situation is that we wanted to see some equalization, because we're in for close to $300 billion and they're in for $200 billion less. Why are they in for less? Because Biden never asked them for money. He never said, you got to pay. He never did. All he did is hand out money. So we're talking with them right now, and we're actually working some deals right now. So we have some guarantees and some other things to keep that whole situation to go, really going. I mean, going. We're telling Ukraine they have very valuable rare earth. We want what we put up to go in terms of a guarantee. We want a guarantee. We're handing them money hand over fist. We're giving them equipment. European is not keeping up with us. They should equalize. And look, we have an ocean in between. They don't. It's more important for them than it is for us. But they're way below us in terms of money. And they should be paying at least equal. They should really be paying much more than us. But let's say equal to us. And they're billions and billions of dollars below. So we're looking to do a deal with Ukraine where they're going to secure what we're giving them with their rare earth and other things.
Mr. President, in terms of the deal with Mexico this morning, was that partially related to the market reaction and a criticism from Mr. Murdoch's own newspaper? He called it the dumbest trade war on the editorial page on Saturday.
I'm going to have to talk to him.
Is this market reaction or concern about...
I've been right over the Wall Street Journal many times, I will tell you. I don't agree with him on some things. No, it's not only is it not dumb, you're going to see. Every single one of those countries is dying to make a deal. You know why? Because they're ripping us off really badly. And the United States is tired of just being ripped off. And that's why we have $36 trillion in debt. We have it for a reason, because we make bad deals with everybody. And we don't allow that anymore. So the Wall Street Journal is wrong, because very simply, every single country that you're writing about right now is dying to make a deal, because the deals they have right now are so good and so good for them and so profitable for them. You didn't know that Canada didn't allow our banks. You didn't know all of these different things. And I think in the end, you're going to see that either very, very substantial tariffs are going to be paid by them, or they're going to make some kind of a deal.
So or did Mexican President Sheinbaum?
Did what?
Did you blink this morning?
There was no blinking. No, she's a wonderful woman, but she did agree to 10,000 soldiers on the border. I would say that's a lot. Would you say that's pretty good? 10,000 soldiers on the border?
Sir,
And the 10,000 soldiers are going to keep illegal aliens out, and they're going to keep them out, seriously out, and otherwise they're going to have a big penalty. Mexico is going to be penalized. They're not going to come through Mexico anymore, and they're not going to let the fentanyl come in from China. And China hopefully is going to stop sending us fentanyl, and if they're not, the tariffs are going to go substantially higher.
Sir, just to clarify what you said about Ukraine earlier, the rare earths, is that something you want them to give the rare earths to the United States?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to have security of rare earth. We're putting in hundreds of billions of dollars. They have great rare earth, and I want security of the rare earth. And they're willing to do it.
Sir, you mentioned earlier that you want
On Canada, when you talk to Justin Trudeau again, is there anything he can give you at 3 p.m. when you talk again to also
I don't know.
pause,
I don't know.
like you said with Mexico?
I don't know. We have big deficits with Canada, like we do with all countries. I mean, I look at some of the deals made, I say, who the hell made these deals are so bad? But with Canada, I have a talk with him that you maybe know or maybe not. We're going to meet again or talk again at 3 o'clock, right after my next meeting, and we'll see what happens. I can't tell you what's going to happen.
You mentioned that he could agree to change your mind on the tariffs?
Well, we can always, look, what I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. We give them protection, military protection. We don't need them to build our cars. I'd rather see Detroit or South Carolina or any one of our, Tennessee, any one of our states build the cars. They could do it very easily. We don't need them for the cars. We don't need them for lumber. We don't need them for anything. We don't need them for energy. We have more energy than they do. We don't need them for energy. So I say, why are we doing this? Why are we willing to lose between $100 billion and $200 billion a year? We don't need them. As a state, it's different. As a state, It's much different. And there are no tariffs. So I'd love to see that, but some people say that would be a long shot. If people wanted to play the game right, it would be 100% certain that they'd become a state. But a lot of people don't like to play the game because they don't have a threshold of pain. And there would be some pain, but not a lot. The pain would be really there. So we're going to meet again by phone at 3 o'clock, and we'll let you know.